It's been a wild couple of weeks for Apple, with a bunch of speculation and leaks having to do with everything from Apple's upcoming March event and MacBook Pro features to some massive iMac leaks, and of course, Apple essentially discontinuing the iMac Pro. Now, this might be a huge surprise for a lot of people since the iMac Pro is still a great machine and a better deal than the Mac Pro since you already get a great 5K display. But let me tell you, the iMac Pro definitely had it coming. So in this video, I'm gonna talk about why Apple is discontinuing the iMac Pro and why I think it's gonna make a huge comeback with new Apple Silicon hardware. And then I'm gonna talk about the rest of the iMac lineup. And finally, I'll discuss some new information on Apple's March event. So let's get right into it. If you go to Apple's website right now, there is only one configuration of the iMac Pro available, the base model for $5,000. And as you can see, it says while supplies last. Apple even confirmed to Mac Rumors that the iMac Pro is officially being discontinued. So yeah, it's a goner. But don't worry, like I said before, I think it's gonna make a comeback, and sooner than you might think. So let's get right into why this current Intel model is going bye-bye. The iMac Pro was originally released in 2017 with an 8-core chip at the same base $5,000 price. And at the time, it was a great machine. However, in 2019, the high-end updated 5K iMac came out and basically destroyed the iMac Pro in terms of CPU performance, which was surprising since you'd be saving between $750 and $1,600 by going with the 5K iMac. And then in August of last year, the 2020 iMac was released, and this was basically the death of the iMac Pro because surprisingly, the base 27-inch model for $2,300 with some aftermarket RAM was outperforming the 5K iMac Pro in many different tasks. And of course, at the same time, Apple also updated the base iMac Pro to get a 10-core chip, just to give it a little bit of a push, but to be honest, at that point, it was already too late. Anyone buying an iMac Pro after that point was making a huge mistake, and that's why Apple discontinued it, showing that the iMac Pro was basically a stopgap product for the pros until the 2019 Mac Pro was released. And now let's finally get into my theory on how and when Apple could bring back the iMac Pro, because if Apple does this, it's gonna be absolutely genius. As we all know, the new Apple Silicon Macs have been absolutely killing it, leading to record Mac sales and incredible market share predictions, especially when we get the 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pros sometime this summer or fall at the latest. But in terms of the iMacs, it's been a wild ride with the leaks and rumors. Some of the first rumors we got pointed to a redesigned 24-inch iMac coming between the fourth quarter of 2020 and first quarter of 2021, which points to a possible release at Apple's March event. And just recently, Kang, the absolute most reliable Apple leaker out there, came out and said that there will in fact be an Apple March event on the 23rd. And then John Prosser basically confirmed, so that's extremely exciting. However, John didn't give us any mention of any iMac being ready for the March event. He simply mentioned the AirTags, iPad Pro, AirPods, and the Apple TV. And on top of that, last month, Mark Gurman claimed that the iMac redesign would happen toward the end of the year. But Sam from iUpdate thinks that we could be seeing a staggered iMac launch this year, which could totally make a lot of sense. So now let's get into my theory on Apple's master plan for the iMac Pro. First off, I'm 100% sure that there will never, ever be another Intel-based iMac of any kind ever again. Apple Silicon going forward from now on. And I personally believe that it makes total sense to release the lower end 24-inch redesigned iMac first and then release the larger iMac later. Why? Well, because Apple needs to make sure that they have an iMac with a relatively cheap base price for the lower end of the market who don't want to have to deal with getting a display, keyboard, and mouse for the M1 Mac Mini. So that means that the new 24-inch redesigned iMac needs to start out at around $1,100 to $1,300. And the way they can do that is by giving the base model the same exact M1 chip that we already have in the other Macs. But then obviously having an upgraded chip option, which will likely be the M1X that we've been waiting for. But on the other hand, the larger iMac, which is set to potentially get a 30 to 32-inch display, needs to pack a ton of performance. This means it'll likely come with the M1X at the base price, and it'll likely have an upgrade option for an even better chip, potentially the M1Z, and it could even get an option for a dedicated graphics chip, which has been rumored for some time now, specifically for the larger iMac model. Because of this, there's no way that the higher end iMac is coming before the 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pro models this summer, so we'll likely see it toward the end of the year. So here's where the whole iMac Pro thing shows up in my theory. What if Apple is planning to make the new redesigned 24-inch iMac the only iMac model? And then the larger 30 to 32-inch iMac will be renamed, wait for it, the iMac Pro. Now, if you think that sounds absolutely crazy, I actually have quite a few reasons for why that makes sense for Apple. First off, the current iMac lineup is a bit confusing because there are two different sizes and people often get them mixed up. So giving them two different names would fix that problem. On top of that, the new redesigned iMac is rumored to be getting a 23 to 24-inch display, which is the perfect middle ground, since 21.5 inches is way too small right now for most people. And since this model could potentially be getting an M1 chip at the base price, it's basically ready to go anytime between now and the end of spring, unless Apple wants to wait until after the M1X MacBook Pros arrive. But the weird thing is that Apple chose to discontinue the iMac Pro just 2 weeks before the leaked March event date, which could mean that the iMac might actually be coming sooner than we thought. And to make it even more interesting, Jon Prosser dropped a leak showing that the iMac could be coming in a bunch of different color options, which Apple currently only does for their lower end products and not the Pro ones. So I personally can't see Apple doing that for the larger higher end iMac. And the best way to solve that issue is by calling the larger one the iMac Pro and just giving it 1 or 2 color options just like before. And now getting even deeper into the larger iMac, is rumored to be getting an even larger 30 to 32-inch display, which could show that Apple is going all out with the performance as well. So if Apple is going all out, why not just call it the iMac Pro? This will allow them to do a couple of different things that actually make a whole lot of sense. Number 1, they get to reuse the iMac Pro name, which will definitely help with sales compared to just getting rid of that name. Number 2, it's gonna give Apple more time to work on it and give it a better chip, since Pro Macs are usually released in December. For number 3, it'll allow Apple to give the dedicated custom Apple graphics chip exclusively to the iMac Pro and not the regular 24-inch iMac. Number 4, it'll give them an excuse to bump up the base price, potentially up to $2,000 or more if they really pack it with a ton of great performance, simply because of that iMac Pro name. And finally, number 5, if you really think about it, the main thing that differentiated the 27-inch iMac from the iMac Pro was the fact that the iMac Pro always got the Intel Xeon chip with ECC RAM, which was tuned specifically for professional work. But now, with Apple switching to their own custom silicon chips, that difference is gone forever. So it totally makes sense for Apple to take advantage of the iMac Pro name for the larger iMac model. And once again, doing this would be a genius move for Apple because they'll be greatly simplifying their Mac lineup while being able to bump up the base price and give it some extra performance with that dedicated graphics chip. And of course, they'll be able to release it in December for that end of year tax write-off sales push. So there you guys go. That's my theory on how Apple could resurrect the iMac Pro and do it in a way that maximizes profits and minimizes confusion. Now, if you totally disagree with my speculative take, go ahead and let me know down in the comment section below. But if you enjoyed it, click that circle above for more videos like this one. Definitely check out one of those two videos right there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.